Good evening. Welcome to the May meeting for the Wakefield Veterans Advisory Board. I invite you all to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag. Okay.
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
for all. Thank you. And I see Rob or Tara. Oh,
Yeah, Jay, sorry about my.
good evening. How are you?
Excellent. How are you guys?
Good, thank you. Those of you that are looking at the screen, you can tell that we have two new members. And I hope that I sent everybody the roster of everybody that's on the Veterans Advisory Board that has names, email addresses, and your term of office. Something new. The new folks looks like you're starting off with a 3-year term. In the past, they've started people off with like a 1-year term and then you go, but it looks like you're jumping right in with a 3-year term. So welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, if you wouldn't mind giving a short introduction to everybody for yourself, and then we can go around the horn and introduce ourselves to you. Christy, if you ladies before gentlemen.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Christy. I'm born and raised Wakefield. I have a 13-year-old son. He is going into the 8th grade at Galvin. I am a loan officer. I've been doing that for about 22 years now. And I have been, with being in the industry that I'm in, I've put a lot of veterans into homes, and it's just a soft spot in my heart. I do not come from a military family, but I just want to, I feel like I want to give back. And this is where I'm at today. I applied for this position because I've been doing some volunteer work throughout the other communities as well, but I really wanted to be involved in Wakefield since this is my hometown.
And is it Yentile or Yentile?
Yentile.
Yentile, okay, thank you. Michael Owen, the floor is yours, sir.
Hi guys, my name is Mike and I just moved to Wakefield actually in January. Me and my wife bought a house. We've been trying to get into Wakefield for a couple of years. I'm from England originally, served in the US Army, Afghan vet, and I'm an investigator for Social Security. So keeps me on my toes and see some of the society's best and some of society's worst, unfortunately. I did some volunteering at the Brockton VA a couple of years ago. So now that we've got this gigantic mortgage in Wakefield, it's definitely going to be a forever home. And so I'm just really excited to get on the board and help out some of the vets.
Awesome.
Well, that's awesome. Wakefield certainly a great town, and we're fortunate enough to have the board. I think I've spoken with you folks. Jay Panett, the chairman of the board, a few years ago when we kind of got a little bit more organized. The only two positions we have selected is chairman and the secretary. One of the things that I'd like to do as we move forward is firm up that structure a little bit more, perhaps like a vice chair with terms, et cetera, and go forward. For myself, I've lived in Wakefield for 31 years. I've been on the board, I don't know, 5, 6 years now, perhaps. 22 plus years in the Marine Corps active duty and reserves. Retired from medical device industry 3 years ago, April. And for the last 2 years, I've been serving as the Veterans Service Officer in the town of Saugus, right next door here. David?
Dave Mangan. I'm a Veteran Service Officer for the town of Wakefield, 1 year now. My anniversary is coming up this week, actually, and I'm wearing the shirt in honor of that from Operation Resilience. I retired from Boston College 6 years ago. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and this job came along at a perfect time where now I'm able to help other veterans, and I've been busy as a one-arm paper hanger, so to speak. And it's been good. It helps me feel that I can give back to the community. And as a navigator for these different programs that are available for veterans, I feel that it not only benefits our community, but it benefits our nation in the long run. It gives them hope, and it gives me something to do, basically. So there you have it.
Thank you. Pam?
Hey, I'm Pam Hart. I am the self-elected secretary of the board here. I'm married to a Vietnam veteran. I've been on the board, I forget now, is it 4 years? I don't even remember. I enjoy, seeing what I can do to help veterans and help celebrate veterans and their families. And I live in Wakefield here. I have 2 grown children, 5 grown grandchildren, and that's about it.
Awesome, thank you. Miss Melinda?
I'm Melinda Cook. I live in Wakefield. I have 4 kiddos. I work in the life science industry. I joined the board because I was interested in doing some volunteer work and giving back. My dad's a Marine, Vietnam era. And yeah, I think that's about it. I've been on the board since 2017.
Sounds about right.
I think that, yeah.
Yep. Rob?
Thanks, Jay. My name's Rob Ettinger, and I've live in the town of Wakefield. I've been here for 16 years. Originally from the South Shore. I grew up in Easton. So, Mike, I actually had an uncle who worked in that VA hospital over in Brockton.
Oh, okay.
Army veteran, Desert Storm veteran. I was on M1 tanks. I work in the financial services firm for Putnam Investments. I'm the controller. 2 kids here in town. They're active in all the things: dance, hockey, soccer, Girl Scouts. I coach. My wife is a troop leader and a softball coach. She's a high school teacher over in Wilmington. So I got onto the board about a year ago, and just think I'm just getting reelected for 3 years. So looking forward to expanding the scope and the reach of the board.
Awesome, thank you. Oh, it's nice that I think we have a pretty good mix of experiences, and I certainly believe that everybody is in this for the right reason. One person who's not with us tonight is Rick Pearson. Rick is probably the longest tenured person on the board at this point. He was on the board when I first came. He's I think the only remaining person on the board from when I joined. Rick is a former Marine. His term is up next year. And he has said that this is going to be his last term. Somebody's coming in. I wonder who that would be. But if you're able to go to Forest Glade Cemetery on Friday, Rick will probably be there. Okay. That being said, I'm going to kind of segue into Memorial Day. Rob mentioned all of the activities that his kids are generally involved with, but are probably unable to be involved with these days because of this crazy environment in which we live. So I guess it goes without saying that all of the outdoor activities, organized activities in town of any scope or scale have been canceled right through 4th of July. Michael, if you haven't had a chance to see the 4th of July parade and fireworks in Wakefield, it's really something special. But all of that has been canceled at this point, including the more formal Memorial Day activities. Memorial Day in Wakefield, historically, we used to have a little parade that went from the Galvin Middle School to what is referred to as the Veterans Memorial Common. We would sometimes have the high school band, a small number of marchers. And a few years ago, inevitably when you have a ceremony outside, you are going to have problems with the weather, etc. And we have a beautiful new auditorium at the Galvin Middle School. It's the Veterans Memorial Auditorium. If you haven't seen it, it is absolutely amazing that we have something like that in Wakefield. So the decision was made to no longer have the Memorial Day parade at all, because it just, we weren't getting the traction, people weren't coming out. And the Veterans Day, and now have them all inside Veterans Memorial Auditorium. It takes the weather out of the play of the problem. We don't need a lot of DPW support for putting up tents, etc. So we tried to keep it simple, and it seems to have been working pretty well. And I hope that we can see our way clear to have Veterans Day inside the Galvin by the time November rolls around. So I've been told that I haven't been told. I think I read it on Facebook that the West Side Social Club is still planning to have some abbreviated ceremony at their facility over by the Moulton Playground off of Albion Street. Historically, they've had a very nice ceremony where they redecorate and rededicate trees around the field with social distancing and limits on gathering, etc. They're not going to do anything to that scope or scale. I think they're going to bring it down. I think a couple of guys from the American Legion still plan to go and try to fire the weapons as part of the ceremony. Other than flagging the graves in our cemeteries, there really isn't anything else more formal planned for the town of Wakefield at this point. Someone's still trying to dial in again. I'm not sure whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent, but be that as it may. So because I work in Saugus, I'm involved over there also. And Saugus is having what members of the American Legion are describing as a small ceremony. How you can keep something small when you put it on the internet is beyond me, but I guess we'll see what happens on Saturday. Social distancing, masks, etc. will be required. So we're just going to take it from there. So I know that a lot of people in town are pretty disappointed that we have to limit what we're doing on Memorial Day, but hopefully we can come back bigger and better for Veterans Day and have a proper recognition of Memorial Day next year. So with that in mind, what we would normally do for Memorial Day, and hopefully we will do on Veterans Day, is it's been a little bit of divide and conquer. The members of this board generally take the lead on putting these ceremonies together. That includes finding a guest speaker, finding a member of clergy, interfacing with the school department, high school musical groups, local choir groups, etc., etc. Not a lot of heavy lifting, just a lot of administrative work. So, as we move forward, we'll certainly be talking more about that. Okay. Any questions on Memorial Day?
No.
Hearing none, we will move on. Dave, do you have anything to report on the office? How have things been going under the?
I do. As of today, I phoned all the mobile market veterans to let them know about the changes. And instead of going to the senior center on the third Wednesday, they're coming over to Memorial Hall in Melrose. That's the pathway between the fire station and Memorial Hall, anytime after 9:30, where they'll be able to stay in their cars, and we'll give the food to them at that time. What else? I got a 75% response on the calls that I made, and the others I left a voicemail with instructions in the timeline. I had 2 requests this week for cemetery grave markers to be ordered. I'll follow up with them and the paperwork to go along with that. Some of the DD 214 forms that I was able to access on the MRO program, Military Records Online, they're microfilmed and are different and almost impossible to read, difficult to read. I'll attempt to reach out to the National Archives of the Military Records Center in Missouri. These are World War II veterans, and there was a big fire years ago and destroyed a lot of the records, so they have them on microfilm. And in the haste to put them on the microfilm, a lot of them are real hard to read. I did everything I could, magnifying glasses and everything else. But the idea is these are surviving spouses of veterans, and they'd like to get the grave markers for the grave sites. I had 2 calls regarding qualifications for Chapter 115. Both were out of range for the program. They apparently are reading it in the newspaper, which is good. Our communication lines are out there, so they're seeing them, and they're getting back to us. Plus, I posted on both the City Hall and at the Senior Center back when this all began, and I laminated it so that it wouldn't get destroyed by the weather, is the contact information for myself so that they can get access to our programs. I had 2 calls also regarding denials for the people who put in for appeals. Now they're putting in for appeals. One of them is no longer going to pursue it, and actually he was out of range. And the other one, they're going to go ahead and go with it. I'm going to assist him with that. I worked on it with a gentleman named Thomas Ryan. He's a National Service Officer for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts out of Rhode Island. And we're going to pursue this even further because this gentleman will be fine. But that's part of what we do. And that's where I am at this point since last week. So it's been busy.
Great. Thanks. Now, just for Christy and Mike's benefit, every 3rd Wednesday of the month, we, in conjunction with the Greater Boston Food Pantry, we do a food market, a food pantry for veterans, surviving spouses, etc., of veterans. And historically, the food comes back to Wakefield. Dave and Pam and some other volunteers distribute it, but because of social distancing, etc., we're doing a drive-by touchless drop-off down in Melrose. So, one of the things that we can do as a board, if someone, you meet someone, they say, oh, what does the board do? One of the things that we can do is outreach on these type of things. If we know of veterans in the community, and this food, it's not a needs-based program, if you know what I mean. Any veteran can get it. Unlike so many other things in the VA that are needs-based, as long as you're a veteran, you're eligible to sign up for the food. And like I said, we'll either bring it to you or you can come yourself. But to show you the kind of difference in the demographics, Dave has like 17 people that come to the pantry. 20, wow, it's going up. Saugus has 130 people on their list. And on a monthly basis, we usually get in excess of 80. And we have 68 of them either coming to Melrose tomorrow or we're going to be delivering it. So, I just, as the rest of the guys have heard this before, I don't think the demographics are that skewed between Saugus and Wakefield that Wakefield should have 20 people in the food list and Saugus should have 7 times that. So I think it's part of it is outreach, getting the word out so that folks know that this exists. And that's one of the things that we can do as a board. Now, Dave mentioned Chapter 115. That's one of the things that I wanted to cover. And, I'll certainly pull some more handouts together for it. One of the primary focuses of the Veterans Service Officer in towns is to administer this Chapter 115 program. Chapter 115, from what we've been told, is unique to Massachusetts. Maybe other states have similar programs, but we've heard from day one, we've been on the job, that this is something that's unique to Massachusetts. It's a needs-based program. There are asset and income limits to get on the program, but it's, now I'm down to 25. I've gone from 33 clients down to 25 in a year on Chapter 115 in Saugus. Dave, I think you probably have half of that, right?
I've got 14 now, I think, 15.
Yeah. So, it's one of those things that, people come in. One of the things that I believe it says on the town website is that this board oversees the operations of the the Veteran Service Officer. We really don't oversee the operations. Where the intention for us is to assist the Veteran Service Officer in whatever he or she may need, depending on the need. So I'll get more information out about Chapter 115 to show you where the income and asset limits are. And, the other part of our job is to assist people with VA claims. Dave talked about he's helping a couple of people with appeals. We can help people start their claims. We can help them with appeals. Everything that we do, if I had $1 for every time I told someone I don't work for the VA, I'd probably be retired again, because a lot of people come in and say, you're the VA guys. I'm, well, no, I'm not, but I can help you with VA things. And one of the things that, I think that this board can do more of as we move forward is do more outreach. One of the things that Dan Benjamin, who was just signing in right now.
There he is. There he is.
Dan,
Hey. We have a good, there you go. Dan is the other remaining member of the board. Dan, we have two new folks that you'll probably see. We have Christy, who is in the middle of the screen for me, and Mike Owen is up in the top right for me. They've gone through and introduced themselves, et cetera, et cetera. Christy, I think you know. Mike is relatively new to town, 6 months. Army vet, Afghanistan, from England by birth, as you'll detect as if he ever starts talking and I stop talking. So it's really refreshing to have some new blood. Dan is one of our local historians. If you forget what goes on in Wakefield, you can ask Dan. Dan's a Vietnam vet. Lovely wife, Lois, involved in a lot of stuff in town. And Dan's fighting a good fight right now. Well, so we just finished talking about Chapter 115, Dan, and some just generalities, and we'll be sharing more. But one of the things we were talking about is doing outreach in the town as we move forward. Just having the members of the board have an elevator speech for what the board does and what benefits that the Veteran Service Officer has at his disposal, okay? So we'll do more work on putting things like that together. All right. I didn't have anything else for tonight. Anybody else want to do some talking? Got anything good?
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
So I'm personally not on social media. I don't do anything on Facebook or Twitter or anything. Does the this board have anything like that on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram to reach out to people?
We have a Facebook, which is sort of a district-wide. I guess I should clarify that. Melrose, Wakefield, and Saugus formed a Veterans Service District. Our district director, Karen Burke, retired Air Force flight nurse, is a full-time employee in Melrose City Hall. Dave and I are both part-time. but we are also Melrose City employees. Wakefield reimburses Melrose for our salaries. So we have a district Facebook account. I personally don't do Twitter. I haven't seen the need. If that's a way of getting the word out, especially to younger veterans, which is a gap for us right now, I believe, be all for it.
The coffee socials that Christie was running there for a while were, I thought they were good. They kicked in well. We had some participation with it, but then the winter came along and we kind of dispersed. And I don't know if, Christie, you have anything planned going down the road for the spring or into the summer.
I would love to get back in there, and I can reach out to Bonnie if you want and find out if we can utilize the space still, whether it be, you know, doing the coffee socials, or if we even start putting together like maybe some fishing derbies or some cookouts over at the yacht
There you go.
club this summer. I think we could do a lot over there, and I think she'd be definitely on board, and I can definitely reach out to her with anything we want.
That sounds good. I could actually get some donated equipment from Boston College for any chafing dishes or linen or plastic
Okay.
supplies. They'll donate it for us. So that's a good thing.
Do you guys want me to reach out to her now? Do you guys
No.
want to
The
start?
next few days, next
No.
few days.
No. I want a plan. I want a plan.
Plan it.
Okay,
Someone come up with a plan and the board will vote on the plan.
There you
Okay.
go.
Plan the work the plan.
We also don't know about the social distancing and the state opening up and stuff yet. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would love, right now, I'm aware of veterans coffee socials that are taking place online. So
Right.
we used to have pretty successful ones that I thought that we could start maybe downloading some keys to success. They've all gone online and they're doing it online. So I would really, I think it would be a great thing if we could get something rolling and get a little bit more traction in that regard. And it's certainly wonderful to have a willing partner like the Quantipowered Yacht Club, that's for sure.
yes.
Jay, the golden lighting at the DPW, I saw your email about that. Some of the places already have the lights ready to go up.
Some of the places are already lit.
Right. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
I
What about the
don't-
wreaths?
I don't plan to reach out to the DPW.
Okay, I saw your email. What about the wreaths, Jay? We did it Friday?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I left that part of it out. No. For Memorial Day this year, the part of the story that I left out is we have a number of wreaths that we place at memorials around town. There were 13 of them. In the past, we haven't had, absent outdoor activities, we haven't had formal wreath layings, if you know what I mean. We haven't, like, Tom picks them up on, Tom Collins, former member of the board, would pick the wreaths up and go lay them around with not a lot of pomp and circumstance. Since this Memorial Day is a little bit abnormal or unusual, if we want to formalize the wreath laying, I'd be fine with that. There are wreaths that get put on the Veterans Memorial Common, Forest Glade Cemetery. I know that the American Legion is going to have a meeting at Forest Glade Cemetery at noon, and they're going to have a little ceremony there. Probably lay some.
That's Monday? That's Monday, Jay?
Yes, Monday, Memorial Day at noon. If any members of this board wanted to do wreath layings, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I'd be fine with that. We could take some pictures and put them on social media. If any of you can still fit in your uniform, that would be brilliant. I think the only part of my uniform that fits would be a VFW cover. That would be it. But you know, if anybody wants to take part in a wreath laying, just let me know. You know, because the downside is we really can't do a lot of publicity because you know you can't have a ton of people show up. But if we wanted to, let's say that the 5 wreaths there are actually 6 downtown. One at the Rockery, which, Mike, is that big statue in the middle of the square with the fountain?
Okay.
It's Rockery or the Walker. There's one that goes there. And there are a number that go on the other monuments on Veterans Memorial Common, which is next to it. If we wanted to, as a board, if we wanted to meet sometimes Saturday, sometimes Sunday, sometimes Monday, and lay those wreaths in a more formal fashion, or if we wanted to do the ones at Forest Glade Cemetery at noontime on Monday as a board, I'd be fine with that. I don't care. I'm open to suggestions.
I would like to do that Saturday afternoon on the Commons.
I'm on that too.
I mean, it's part of the whole weekend,
Yep.
you know, it's longer.
So I'm going to pick them up Saturday at 9 a.m. So if the members of this board want to get together at whatever, tell me a time, and do a more formal wreath laying on this in the center, I'm fine with that. I'll take pictures, I'll take video, whatever you want to do.
12 noon sound good, Pam?
Yeah, 'cause I'm planning on going to the Saugus thing Saturday at 10.
That's Monday at 10.
Oh, it's Monday. I thought it was Saturday.
I don't believe so.
Oh, all right.
I'm the speaker, so I hope I have the right day.
Well, anyway, what did you say?
That
Noon?
won't fit.
Noon is good.
Yeah. So do we want to meet Saturday at noon in the square?
Yes, I'll be there.
We can park. I think the only place we're going to be able to park would be on Lafayette Street.
Oh, okay.
That one way leading from, or we could park at Town Hall, whatever.
Right.
On the post office, yeah. Other town hall.
All right. Okay, Saturday at noon at downtown. Thank you, Melinda, for sharing the Facebook link.
I missed that, though.
What's that?
I wasn't too fast.
If you click on the chat link at the bottom of your screen, you look over to the right-hand side, it'll show you the link that Melinda just shared. That's Melrose Wakefield Saugus Veterans Service
Yeah.
Facebook group. Okay.
I had a question about the flags, how that went and what's going to happen for Friday.
I thought the flags went relatively well.
Good.
We had, I don't know, what would you say, 15 volunteers show up,
Yep.
all ages.
Ah,
Social distancing, it was done really well. The gentleman for the Civil War flags, Kevin, came in and Jay handed him 2 boxes of flags for their service. I think they're doing it tomorrow. They have 200 people they have to put in the flags for.
Well, you know, one thought I had on that is that seems to be a little disjointed to me. Because I would bet that when they get there tomorrow, the vast majority of the graves that they think they're going to do are already.
Done.
So you don't happen to know what time they're going tomorrow, do you?
No, but I can find out. I can text you.
Yeah.
I'll shoot you a
Like
text.
I said, I have that medal presentation at 3:45, and I
Yep.
can go to Lakeside right after that, because I would recommend that we tell him if you're getting my drift on the tell him that we will do it in reverse order next year.
Okay,
We will give them the flags. They will decorate their graves because they have them all charted out from what I understand.
yeah, they have a map, all that, yeah, yeah.
And like I
Be
said,
nice to get a copy of that map. I
I'm
had
sorry?
one. What happened to it?
But I'm sure they're going to show up tomorrow with 2 gross of our flags, and 90% of their work is already going to be done. So
We want
it
to
seems,
retrieve those flags too, if these have left over.
I'm sorry.
We might want to retrieve the flags that he has
Yeah.
left over.
Yeah,
I
I
think
guess
he has
that's
100.
I guess that's my point. I think should recommend to him if he wants to do this again next year, they must do their decoration before we do ours.
Yep,
It seems to make sense.
I did a lot of yesterday, and those are the ones that have got the star. I think they're,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're made out of bronze.
Yeah,
And they say GAR, Grand Army of the Republic.
right.
GAR, yep, there's an insignia, yep.
All right, so, like I said, the medal presentation that I'm doing tomorrow in Saugus will only take 5-10 minutes. And then I'm gonna shoot right to Lakeside to see if I can catch them. Or I'll reach out. I don't think the email that you sent me for his contact had his telephone information. Oh, it did. I called him.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you,
I'll call him tonight, or I'll call him tomorrow morning
okay. All right, thank you.
to that effect.
I don't know how many of you get the Wakefield Daily Item. Mike, it's not a bad thing. It's cost you a couple of bucks a week. You read it in 2 minutes.
Okay.
But it's one way of keeping up on what's going on in town.
Okay.
And Dave was able to get a very nice front page color
Yes.
yesterday, asking folks to decorate their windows, porches, etc., in recognition of Memorial Day. Okay.
That's another good tool, Jay, is the Wakefield item for getting the word out about our, to our veterans on the different programs that we do have.
Yeah, write it up.
Very receptive to, they're very receptive.
They have put everything that I've
They
said
also
there.
have Wakefield Patch, which shows a lot of stuff on Wakefield.
Mhm.
I've never put anything on the patch. I don't know how to do that, but I assume it's easy enough.
Look up Wakefield Patch and you'll get on.
No, maybe when we reorganize in the fall, we'll put somebody in charge of publicity. How about that?
Okay.
That sounds good. One of the young minds that knows how to get in and out of those places.
Great.
So any, once again, I've blathered way too long. Anyone else have anything for the good of the group? What do you think about a June meeting? Last year, we did not have meetings in June, July, and August. When we met in September. If the board wants to have a meeting in June, I'm all for it. If we want to move forward and just socially distance until September, we can do that also.
Based on the current environment, Jay, I would suggest we wait till September. If this hadn't happened, this coronavirus, I would have actually suggested we meet once or twice during the summer, because I think I'm excited to start expanding the way that we interact with the community, but now is not the time. So I'm not sure we could do that much anyway.
A lot of the stuff we could probably do in preparation for the meeting in the fall, even if it's just texting back and forth to Jay or to the other members. We have your email addresses, and maybe rather than having a big full-blown meeting, run some ideas out there, Jay. What do you think?
Well, one thing that we do need to do is we need to conform with open meeting laws.
Yeah, yeah.
So we can't make substantive decisions and that and not have an open meeting. That's why we're doing the Zoom meeting, recording it,
Okay.
hearing it.
How about a Zoom meeting in June then?
Or we could just,
Whatever the board feels.
jot down our ideas for a September agenda.
Yeah, bring them then.
Right.
We could certainly do that. We could, and I would like to ask that that's always an expectation of the board, is that anybody can put agenda items on. The one thing to keep in mind is that the agenda needs to be published at town hall 1 week before the meeting.
Mhm.
When I send out an agenda, that also goes to the postings email address at town hall. It's either the town clerk or the town administrator's office. They take it and they make sure that it gets posted. And if you read the item, you'll see all those meetings posted. So, you know, we need to do that a week in advance. And, you know, that's something that I hope that all of the board members feels free to do, is propose agenda items. Certainly, if we hold all meetings in abeyance until September, one of the agenda items will certainly be the initiation of Veterans Day planning.
Okay.
Mhm.
What
Right.
about, Jay, if we think of something when we get there that we forgot to put on the agenda, can it go under other business?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We can do new business, old business, other business, etc.
But the first- it's
How's your
September-
Boy Scout?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
I believe that the young Boy Scout is still planning to do his Eagle Scout project. There's a lot of administrative work within the Scouts that needs to take place before it comes out from the cover of darkness, if you know what I mean. He needs to get it all approved, etc. I believe that the Veterans Advisory Board will still be the sponsor. And basically, there's not a lot of heavy lifting to that. We're basically kind of the recipient of their work. The fire pit, the renovation of Patty Heights, etc. So historically, Troop 701 has been using the Veterans Advisory Board as the sponsor for the Eagle Scout projects. I have not heard from him recently. I've heard from his dad because I reached out on some other things. I would assume that he's homeschooling at this point. And again, we'll probably hear more in the future. And that will certainly, I would assume, be on the agenda list for September also. So
Jay, an Eagle Scout project, I was actually, the girl I was talking to, Maureen Buckley in Stoneham the other day, she asked me about were the Boy Scouts going to be doing the flagging. And I said, well, from what Evan had said, that they wanted us to discourage that at this point because of the coronavirus. But she suggested that apparently in Stoneham, one of the Eagle Scouts, one of his projects was to map out the cemetery as to where the veterans were buried. They get a map, a floor map, so to speak, and they X off all the different locations where all the markers are.
I did it last year with Jim Devlin. It took us about 7 hours. But yes, it's a complete plot plan with the names, and you go and you find the name. It was really simple, and it was pretty good. So you felt comfortable you weren't missing anybody.
Do we still have that map?
That was in Stoneham. Jim was.
Oh, yes, Jim, yeah.
Yeah, he was leaving it for the other guy that
Yeah.
replaced him. But yeah, I did Stoneham's, and they did have a map, and it was a lot easier. It did take a long time, but.
Good Eagle Scout project,
Yep.
definitely.
that's a good idea.
Do we want to let Mike know what the past projects were? Did we just mention the pit, the fire pit and the Patty Heights?
I just did.
But I know, but I didn't know if you needed to know more.
Oh,
Mike.
you caused him to go away.
Scared them off,
I
man.
scared him away. Oh, well.
So I don't think we came to a consensus on a June meeting.
I think we should table it till
Yeah,
September.
wait on it. Wait on it still. The jury's still out on everything. They're just
Right.
now getting the feel for it.
Let me poll everybody then. Pam,
I say wait till September.
Rob,
Wait till September.
Linda,
I'm fine with that.
Christie,
Fine.
Dan,
Wait till September.
Dave.
Wait till September. See you in
Welcome back, Mike.
September.
So it seems at least we have a good voting majority that will wait until September.
Yep.
And please feel free that, you know where I am, you know where I live. Please feel free to reach out at any time. Again, we'll be at Forest Glade Cemetery Friday at 4.
Mhm.
Rick Pearson I dropped him off 2 more boxes of flags today. His intent is to substantially complete the periphery of the cemetery, if you will, and leave that entire center area, the 2 veterans plots and that center area running all the way to the back. That will still probably be left for Friday. So, he'll have a good head start for everybody on Friday.
Can we all come, Jay? It's limited to
Yes.
10, you had said originally?
Yep. The one thing when folks came yesterday was masks, social distancing, not a lot of problem. People understand. And, I know people are very upset that we didn't do a more formal one, but and I appreciate people's willingness to sign up, but it's the guidelines under which we have to operate. It's quite unfortunate. Okay. Anything else for the Dan?
The meeting in September, I'd really like to get into the Wreaths Across America and
Right.
get that, whether we want to expand on it. Maybe talk to Dennis Fazio to see who wants to coordinate it.
Right.
And then possibly add this to the Veterans Day program, maybe a video at the end of the program to get people ramped up and ready to go.
Well, one of the things that I would like to recommend that, I'm all in on Wreaths Across America, you know that. But one of the things that I'd like to do come September, I think it's probably a reasonable idea to work with Dennis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if we're going to be like the sponsor of it, I'd like somebody from this board to be the coordinator for that. You know what I mean? And understand, like last year, I think we sponsored over 400 wreaths, which was phenomenal. I think we had a few dozen the year before. But they only sent us 374 because that's the number of veterans' graves that we told them we had. And I sent them an email afterwards seeking to understand why we didn't get the number of wreaths that we sponsored. You know what I mean? Because I know Dennis went out and bought a whole bunch of wreaths after that for placement around town. So maybe that's the way they do things. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe they'll have some
And I
of
think they have a count from several years back, and they're still using that from several years back.
The
Right.
coordinator having a coordinator, Jay, is a great idea because communication will be the currency we use. If they can be on the same page, we may give them the contributions for 400 wreaths, but like you say, if they're using the directory from the previous 2 years as a strictly 375, that's all we're going to get.
No, what happened is Dennis told them that we had 375.
Okay.
That's what they sent us.
Okay.
We sponsored, I think, 50 wreaths more than that. And I talked to Dennis about it afterwards, and he agreed, like with what Dan just said, we need to make sure that we have a dead on count that we're supplying to them. But that's all part of, I think knowing exactly how the program runs, et cetera. I was very pleased with the way it went this past holiday season. And I think that we can certainly be involved in it and really make it part of it. Saugus doesn't do it. Melrose doesn't do it. They want to do it because Wakefield was so successful at it. So, once again, I think Wakefield is leading the way. Okay. Anything for the good of the group?
I just want to make one thing, just talking to Dave Mangan here. As one of the members of the board, I had never sought any compensation or anything from the Veterans Association. And I went to Dave. He did all the paperwork, signed everything up for me. I got my disability from it. I'm now receiving checks for it. But I'm sure there probably might be even some members on the board here that have never really tried that path with the VA. And everybody at the VA was very, very good to me and thanked me. I can't say enough good things about them, but I wish everybody would either try to put in a claim or talk with Dave about it. But you might be missing out on something that you never knew that you could get. And I know with myself, I live on a pension and Social Security, and this is helping out a lot, especially in the situation I'm in. And thank you, Dave.
You're very welcome.
I think that's certainly an important part of what this board needs to do, not only for our own benefit where appropriate, but I think some of it goes back to that elevator speech that I was referring to earlier. None of us are going to be VA experts. I'm learning things every day, but I think it would be helpful if we had at least some baseline knowledge of what claim requirements are, et cetera, because I think there are a lot of people, unfortunately, that think that because they're a veteran, it's like the e-ticket ride at Disney World, that it opens the doors to, all sorts of benefits that unfortunately may not exist. So I think if over the long run, if the members of this board could become a little bit more comfortable speaking about some benefits, even if it's simply, if you're from Wakefield, go see Dave. If you're from another town, go see your veteran service officer. If you are having trouble with it, reach out to Dave and I. I don't do anything. I don't tell anybody, oh, you're not from Saugus, I can't help you. We're in the business of helping veterans, period. Right?
If you go see Dave, he walked me through all the paperwork, which is there quite a few papers to go through. All this stuff was sent, I believe, to Virginia, the claims, not out of like Bedford. It's two separate places that they put in the claims.
It goes to Boston, and then Boston uploads it into the VA system.
Right.
One thing that's good to know is Dave and myself as VSOs do not have access to VA systems. We don't work for the VA. So we can't log into a VA system to find out where somebody's claim is.
Perfect example, Jay. I have a client that it's been about 6 months on a claim for her mother at a nursing home in Revere. And they were wondering what's taking so long? What's taking so long? Who can we contact? Can you look up and see what's going on? And I had to tell her I couldn't. I did give her, however, Evan's access numbers. Evan said in one of his meetings to do that if people were denied.
Let me give you a recommendation. Don't go to Evan.
Okay.
Go to Matt Ching.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to go the first time, because Matt had given us all the information and the letters and all that, and I sent that to her and her brother, and they were happy with that.
Yeah.
But they're getting impatient. I talked them down. I told them it's going to take about a year, sometimes 2 years.
You're going to save yourself a lot of heartburn if you never, ever, ever quote a time frame.
I said it's a big.
Ever.
gap, you know? Yeah.
Ever, never,
I
ever.
learned that. I learned that before, yeah.
And I started the system maybe a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And it
Yep.
was a process we went through. And not only do you meet at the Bedford, the VA hospitals there, they send you out to a private firm. And I had to go to like 6 or 7 different places, from Grafton to Dedham, checked everything through. It took me a year and a half to go through those claims, the process. But you got to also realize sometimes all that stuff comes back retroactive.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, that could be part of the puzzle as we move forward. Not, the intent is not to make everybody VA experts, because they're the ones that live in places like Boston and other places, but we have access to the people that know a lot. If we don't have an answer, I'm not going to make one up. I'm going to go to the guys that have the answers. So I think that's something that as we move forward, we could all add to our toolkit, just so that if we could talk at a high level about how some of these things work. Okay?
Jay, you had suggested adding a little training component to each agenda,
Yep.
like each month, like 10 minutes.
Yep. And again, maybe in September, we'll start with 115 with some training aids, things like that. I need to find out if those training aids need to be uploaded somewhere, if you know what I mean. So if we're talking to a Chapter 115 checklist, does that have to be part of the, well, I'm hoping by September we're not Zooming. We're meeting in, but
Right, but do open meeting laws allow like pre-read?
I don't know. I'll find that out. Okay. That's a good
But I
idea.
think we could, as a board members, if you see somebody there out on the street, you meet somebody, say, hey, why don't you go up and see your VSO, like Dave, or go over to Bedford and get into the system, get your ID card. Because I never did that. I did it a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I'm 73 years old now. So I waited that amount of time. And people are just losing out on benefits that they could have. And if it wasn't for Sammy Stella, who said, Dan, you got to go over to VA in Bedford and sign up. He says, I'll be down at 9 o'clock Tuesday morning, pick you up and drive you there. And he did, and that started the process.
It's just as simple as that sometimes. And I'm really glad that it worked out for you.
You know,
And-
basically, Jay and I are navigators. Like he said, we're not VA representatives. We're navigators in the background, guiding people to where they need to go to get their benefits.
Well said.
All right, well,
It's time for ice cream.
I certainly thank you all and continually for your participation. Noon, Saturday,
Can I ask one more question before we close out? I know Tommy Collins used to do the Flag Day, which is coming up in what, 3-4 weeks?
Right, Flag
Are they
Day.
going to do that again, or?
I'll reach out to the Boy Scouts
Mm.
and we'll see Bill on Friday.
And it was great seeing him. Haven't seen him in a long time.
Absolutely.
Good point.
All right, well, thank you all. So we'll see
Can I
you.
make a motion to adjourn?
Motion made, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
So we'll see y'all, those that can make it or want to participate Saturday at noon. If you can get into a uniform, do it. If you're just your VFW cover, do it. All right, see y'all. Thank you very much.
Aye.
Thanks, guys.
Aye.
Bye.